completing the ritual. Okay, so now we just wait a second while the stream actually gets all the way over to Twitch and people show up. We're gonna cause an echo because I'm just checking if the stream is up. Oh my god, I've got so many windows to make this thing work. Okay, it's still not there, so we're waiting for it, and then we're waiting for people.
Sounds good. Well, we could just keep
the
talking.
process.
Let me check your tweets. I'll retweet you right now. Retweeting this.
So it says it is streaming, but I am not seeing.
I see the stream
You're seeing it in
on Twitch.
You're seeing it on Twitch? Okay.
We're on the Twitch right now, my friend.
Okay, I am not. Oh, okay, great. Yep, I guess the dashboard is just. I've probably overloaded stuff. Hey, folks, so this is a bit of a ridiculous setup we have here because I am streaming a low latency version of the game over to Shaun Hatton here, musician behind They Bleed Pixels, also known as DJ Finish Him. But I'm also streaming a higher quality version to all of you, and I have tons of windows open to make sure that all of this ridiculousness works. So,
hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. I should mute my phone. So I feel like you've interviewed me about games, but I don't think we've ever done like a chat like this. And that's because you actually used to be on the games journalist side of things. Is that what you'd call yourself? What you did at EP?
Yeah, I guess you can say that. I was a video game journalist. I also covered a lot of other stuff like comic books, TV, movies, basically anything that was kind of nerdy and cool that I was interested in. It was a good job because I basically got to go talk to everyone who made everything that I ever liked. Right? So yeah, it was a good gig for me, and I like talking about stuff that I like, so it made a lot of sense. And I guess that's how we met. We met at one of the very early Hand-Eye Society gathering socials at the Bar Unit in Toronto on Queen Street. I think it's gone now.
Yeah, no, early days of Toronto indie game scene. Folks, let us know if the volumes and such are okay, because I can't super check well with this ridiculous setup. Yeah, no, I guess occasionally you would slum it and come interview us indie devs.
Yeah, well, that was the stuff that I liked, right? Like, I'm into all kinds of games, but like getting to talk to indie developers was always just a little bit more interesting because they actually had full, if not most of the control of their artistic vision, right? Like when you go to a big game dev and there's like 50 plus people, like some of the game devs I visited were like thousands of people working on games. But you get like a more singular vision of what the art is supposed to be or what the original creator wants it to be. And sometimes, like, you know, covering Nintendo is great and it's a lot of fun and I love Nintendo games, but I would never get to talk to Mr. Miyamoto.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I could talk to the people behind all of the indie games that I liked, and I could talk to them about games that they were going to be releasing or games that they were working on. So it was exciting for me because I got to see a lot of stuff very early on, and like I got to see how projects evolved over time or became more complicated. And in some cases, unfortunately, I saw some projects that never came to be, but that's like just the nature of things. And it was neat for me because like there's a level of mysticism around people who make video games just because there's such a huge form of entertainment and such a huge industry, right? And like you play a game, you might be a fan of a franchise for years, and then getting to meet the people behind them is really cool. And at those events, I wouldn't really call it slumming. It was more like I really wanted to be there. Like I would be at those events in my off time. Like I'd be there because I was interested in hanging out with game developers and talking to other games journalists and just talking to other creators and getting to know people in the Toronto game dev scene, so to speak. So yeah, I guess that's where we met. I remember giving you my card, which was like maybe this big. I think it was a very small printed business card, and I had a download to, I guess it was my Bandcamp page at the time, and there was an EP that I made on Nitro Tracker, which was a Nintendo DS. I had to use like a hacked firmware, like a M3, M4 card or R4 card, whatever it was. And so I used all these weird samples and I made like weird music that actually 2 of the tracks ended up being on the soundtrack. I just like revisited them and beefed them up a bit.
Oh, nice. So do you know what tracks those were?
I think Plebeian for sure was on there. Like it's weird. Like when you listen to the whole soundtrack, you're like, oh, where did this come from? Like it kind of doesn't fit. But also something about the game or the soundtrack or working on the game with you that was interesting was that it was a really long project. Like I essentially I started working on the game with you where I knew very little about composition or, notes and like song structures and scales and that kind of thing. And I kind of learned so much. I really did learn so much throughout the course of working on the game. Because originally I would just be like, hey, I got these weird gadgets and they make fun sounds. And then later on, when I was like really banging out the tracks, that's when they started to really feel much more in line with the theme, like the spooky, creepy, lurching theme of the game. And that was cool. And what's also cool is like some of the very early tracks were still on the soundtrack. Like I think Scourge I came up with in your living room. Actually, I brought my gear over once.
Oh shit! I did not realize that.
So I brought my K-oscillator over, and you were just showing me the game because I couldn't see the game at home because you just had it on a computer at your place.
Yeah.
And so I remember like sitting on the floor at the coffee table, I had my stuff plugged in and I was just kind of fiddling around with this thing. And that's where the main driving bass line came from. And then it was good. So I saved it and then came home and worked on it some more. But that's where it started.
No, that's like one of the best tracks in the entire album.
I think it's my favorite. It's so fun. It really gets the mood, gets the blood going.
Yeah, no,
gets the blood pumping.
It's one of my go-to ones when cutting a trailer for which I've now done like I think over half a dozen times because the game kept on taking longer to finish. I'd keep on being like, well, I've got to show some people like a little bit of progress, so I guess we're making another trailer.
Right. You could probably run a GDC talk on cutting a game trailer.
There's definitely some people who are more skilled at it than I. The folks who that's their main thing.
Yeah.
Let's just see. I haven't been checking chat. Okay, cool. No questions.
Sounds fine.
If you have any questions, let us know, and hopefully we will spot the questions. What was I going to say? So you mentioned like early on about like sometimes projects getting canceled, and sort of when we started working together was just after, or sort of when we were in the process of canceling Spooky Squid's first project. So it's Guerrilla Gardening, Seeds of Revolution, which
I remember
a stealth gardening game where you overthrow a dictatorship. So one of those.
I saw your talk at the first gamer camp actually, and I thought it looked really cool. And then I saw that I didn't know you at the time, but I saw that you were working with Eric Kim, and I knew Eric because I worked at Auto Trader with him. And,
oh shit! Yeah, we both worked with Eric.
Yeah. There are so many cool, creative dudes who worked at Auto Trader. I don't count myself as part of that, but like Eric for sure. He was always.
when me and Eric were doing mini comics together, I think he had a few friends who were also doing like comic stuff who had worked there. So I know Eric Kim. Eric Kim is the artist who did actually the little Claude girl who's in the corner of the stream. He does whenever we need sort of key art for any of our games. He's my go-to guy. But Eric and I worked in film for a year doing visual effects for such classic Canadian films as Men with Brooms and Cube 2 Hypercube.
Whoa!
So that's how I know Eric. But yeah, so like that project was really ambitious, and while we were working on it, there was like sort of two unfortunate things that happened. We started it, and basically the idea of like a gardening game was maybe Harvest Moon. It wasn't really like a concrete what to expect from a game that involves plants. That year, Plants vs. Zombies and Farmville happened. So we've got this weird like Metal Gear Solid inspired stealth planting game, and suddenly everyone's like, oh, this would be a great Facebook game, and we're like, how? No. No. So we were never able to get funding for it. I really like, we've got about 40 minutes of gameplay prototype done that we've actually streamed on this Twitch channel before. But we were basically like, okay, we've got to do something smaller, and we had the 6-month project, we thought, called They Bleed Pixels. And I think just as we're sort of like coming up with that idea, it was going to be an XBLIG game, which was like Xbox Live Indie Games, which had just completed its first year. It looked like it might be a market that was going up. Turns out it was a market that was going down.
And it was also just the land of Minecraft clones at one point.
Yeah, no, by the time we decided to not put it on XBLIG, it had become like the top 10, which was all Minecraft clones, and then like one joke game of some sort.
Yeah.
It was like...
It was a tough market to navigate, even as a gamer, like just looking on there to see what was up. Not the best time.
There definitely like was good stuff on there, but often the good stuff would not rise to the top. Like there was a really cool like rhythm action RPG on there. I think Bleed was on there. Another Toronto hard platformer. But yeah, we ended up not putting it on Xbox, despite if you look up, like Google They Bleed Pixels, it'll tell you that it came out on the Xbox 360. It did not. That is a lie. I've been unable to get Google to correct that.
Misinformation. It just adds to the legend of They Bleed Pixels, of Spooky Squid. And maybe 25 years from now, there's going to be someone who will swear to his friends, oh no, I played it on Xbox Live Arcade. It was an Xbox 360 game.
I have already seen that on Twitter. I have seen people saying that that's where they first played it.
Excellent.
So yeah, already creating myths. Yeah, I think 6 months is like the magic number you pull out when it's like, well, it's a lot of work, but it can't be that much work. So 6 months is actually like 3 years, I think, approximately, was what it took.
Yeah.
Or if you count all of the stuff we've done post-launch.
You got to factor in eating and sleeping.
Do you, though? I feel like those are skippable.
And also just learning new things, right? Because, like, you were building this on whatever infrastructure Xbox Live Arcade indie games.
Which is not like...
XNA, oh my gosh.
It's an entirely different engine now, since the Crimson update. Andrew, who's not here, who's the third person sort of the core of They Bleed Pixels, who did the programming, rewrote the entire thing in C and SDL, which he thought would take 6 months and took, I think, not sure when Crimson Update came out, took about 2 or 3 years. So yeah, anytime a game dev says, oh, it'll be about 6 months, that means they've got no clue how long it's going to be. It could be any amount of time.
We're still waiting for Half-Life 3, so
That's not happening.
no. So many other weird things happen, though.
It's true.
If anyone in the chat's got any questions before we jump into the game, go for it. Let's hear them. I'm looking around quite a bit because I've got double screen set up and they're stacked vertically.
Yeah, you've got the vertical thing. I've got the side-to-side one.
So I'm kind of looking up and...
When I'm looking sideways, I'm looking at your face. So yeah,
I'm looking at your face right now.
Exciting.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically, like, we were kind of just starting this new project. You passed us that thing with your, like, demo tape. I was like, this could work with what we're trying to do. We kind of had the title first. And then kind of from there, it came together.
I remember I sent you... Well, I didn't send you. I gave you my card. And then we talked maybe a little bit after that. And then we didn't talk for a long time. And then one day I got an email where it was like, DJ finish him times Spooky Squid equals awesome? Question mark. And that was when you were like, oh yeah, so we're working on this game and we think you might, have something cool to add to it music wise. Would you be interested? And I said, yeah, of course. So I think that's when it really started. You sent over like a few screenshots, and they were pretty like the idea was there pretty early on, but the style is, from then to the final game changed so much with like just the layering of different visual effects. The amount of blood too, that changed. I remember when it was just a little bit of blood and I thought it was a lot, and then you just like dumped so much more on, and then there was like physics with the actual blood, like it was bouncing around as it was supposed to, or at least it seemed like that's what there was. But just a lot of like little attention to detail in the animation, and I think that's something that before I knew you like as a friend and a collaborator, it's something that I admired about your work, was that you were able to get like such emotion and such feeling across in like a very minimalist way. Like when you think of the designs of the characters in the game, they're fairly normal sized on screen for a platformer, but the blocks are bigger than like regular pixels. Like it's closer to like maybe Super Nintendo sized pixels. But there's a lot of emotion and there's a lot of movement, and like the energy is there. Like these characters just aren't standing still. Like even if they're shuffling along, they've got like a presence about them, and they've got like a personality as well. So I thought that was really cool. I couldn't tell, of course, in the screenshots that you sent because they were just stills. But
no, that was sort of like we had one of our goals was I was like, we're going to go for like a simpler style than I usually do, but I wanted to really like push animation and like improve my animation skills. So like I think the Claude girl, I know she's made up of around 60 different animations. Like some of those are bridge animations, like going from this pose to that pose. They might only be like 3 frames long. And I think it's somewhere between 300 and 600 frames of animation for her. It's something ridiculous like that. A lot of those are in the deaths.
Which is good because people die a lot in this game.
Yeah, no, it was totally like Prince of Persia had a bunch of custom deaths, which I've now gone back and gone like, oh, these are so like simple and so few frames compared to what we did with this. It's like the blood stuff. Horrible secret. Until the Crimson update, the splashes from blood were being run backwards. The little splashes when they impact the walls and stuff. We didn't realize until we were doing Crimson update. Because there's just so much going on screen. And it makes a bit like it does make a difference in how good it looks. But also with Crimson Update, Andrew was able to double the number of particles. I think it went from like 3,000 particles of blood to 6,000.
It's a lot of blood.
And getting them to all interact with the environment and such was pretty tricky. So I'm going to do start level over, watch one of the cutscenes. I think I spent like, I want to say at least 3 months just doing cutscenes. And just doing like solid days of like pixeling and working in After Effects.
Yeah, some of this cutscene stuff, like this was some of the more challenging parts to compose to, because you had the idea, and it was like, okay, certain things have to happen at certain times, as opposed to it just being a track.
Yeah.
And it also made me use like different kinds of instrument sounds. So like you hear string sounds, which aren't really anywhere else in the soundtrack. So like lots of more traditional orchestra sounds.
No, and you have sort of, what does it call that thing in music where you sort of like, you'll go back to a little bit of melody or something.
Oh, like a leitmotif?
Yeah. I want you to pronounce it. So I'm like, how's that pronounced? I can't remember.
Leitmotif or leitmotif. I'm not sure. I've been aware of the term for a long time, because like one of the first CD box that I ever had was the Star Wars trilogy. And of course, those movies are littered with that, right?
Yeah.
And there's a big booklet that goes into like the theory and whatever. Or behind it. What are you doing now? You're just
I'm
like jumping in the blood
around. Yep. You can see there's like 3 different sizes of splashes that we use in this. We're just getting the little ones because it's just the little particles.
Yeah.
You can see how it like sticks to walls.
Yeah, I like the way it drips down
and
too.
Drips down, and like if I can get some, can I get some on that side? No. We'll find a good spot to show that stuff off. So these switches were put in purely to teach people the difference between the 2 kicks. Because you've got like the quick kick, which is just tap, attack, and then the hold, which gets it up. And so we wanted something that wasn't a threatening situation where players could get that difference reinforced.
Yeah, it's a tricky game too. Like I've seen a lot of people play it for the first time, at various events, and also just on Let's Plays. And it's still, I remember when the game was in development and the whole idea behind like single button combat sounded like really cool to me and simple, but it's actually pretty complicated.
Yeah, and that came partially from inspiration from playing early versions of Nidhogg at events like those Hand-Eye Society get-togethers.
Yeah.
And I'm like rubbish at fighting games, but I found Nidhogg's system of oh yeah, that's some good blood. Nidhogg's system of sort of being about directions and button pushes and button holds really connected for me in a way that like I've literally gotten stuck in the tutorials of fighting games.
Yeah, I mean, we're in technically a tutorial kind of stage right now, and this is still a stage that takes me a while if I haven't played the game in some time. Like, I just got it on the Switch.
Yeah.
It takes me some time to, like, get through it, and I'll keep falling down to my death.
Game has
People
no
are on
audio.
the stream.
Okay, let me just see if I can fix the game audio thing. It's probably just the levels. Oh no. Oh, this is bad. I did the shaking thing, and now people can't see you. Okay.
Uh-oh.
They should be able to see you. Let me pump up the game audio.
Do you have a favorite song on the soundtrack? Exploding Dice is saying.
It's probably Scourge for me.
I'm gonna say same. It's banging. It's my favorite. There's some songs on the soundtrack that I'll watch, or I won't watch. Sorry, I'll listen to, and I'll like pick out things that I did deep in the score, like just a little silly instrumentation, and I'll be like, why did I ever think of doing that? It's weird. Like there's some weird stuff in the music happening.
Yeah, no, it is always weird going back to old stuff. So people can see you. Can people hear the game, or do I need to turn it up louder? Let us know.
I keep forgetting I'm not logged into Twitch, and I'm trying to like send a message, but
yeah.
It's a bit quiet.
Barely hear it.
And I
okay.
can crank it. Give her.
Okay, I've turned it up more. If people can tell me if they can hear it, I can put it up more, but after some point I'll have trouble hearing you.
Yeah, that's true. It'll be like we're at a club. Like, huh?
Yeah.
What? It's better now.
Okay. So, yeah, to me, I really like that feeling. There's something deliberate about having it be a series of sort of holds and taps and directions plus taps. I think it is one of those things, different types of control schemes connect with people in different ways.
Yeah.
But I think it also does flow well into one of our goals, which was to avoid button mashing.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of people who played this game for the first time were maybe more inclined to button mash, just because it looks so cool when you get to.
Yeah. Well, we do give you that one place where it is okay to.
Yeah, right there.
I'm going to do one thing just to avoid the sound of the buzzing. I am just going to go into the controls and turn rumble off. Oh, hey! Andrew is on the stream. Rio Jones is Andrew,
hey.
Programmer of They Bleed Pixels.
Awesome.
Who worked the magic of this amazing blood.
It does look amazing. It's so much fun. I think, for me, one of the... well, there's a lot of fun things about being involved with this game, but like something that I was really pleased with is anytime someone would see the game for the first time, their reaction when they first saw blood was like, what? It was almost like a disbelief shock. Like, whoa!
No, and as you said, like, as we worked on it, it just became bloodier and bloodier and bloodier.
Yeah.
To the point where it's
I mean, even the
over
walls
the
are
top
bleeding.
now.
What's going on with that?
See if I can pull off. There's a trick I like doing here. Oh, got half of it. There's little spots, because like I had to play these levels over and over again. You find little spots where you can like pull off cool tricks.
Yeah.
The dreaded slippery ground. I think I'm one of the few people who actually enjoys ice levels.
You're a beast.
Yeah, no. I have sort of realized that I don't find platformers frustrating. Like, I'm not good at them. I'm playing a lot of Splunky 2 these days, and I find it super relaxing, but, like, I die constantly.
Yeah. I really like old school platformers, but they're so difficult as well. Like, especially some of the Mega Man games, they're just notoriously difficult. And I think around the time, like, my memory is a little foggy, but I feel like around the time we were working on this, or as soon after it had come out, Mega Man 9 came out, and that was like a return to like the 8-bit style Mega Man games. and that was a lot of fun. I played through the whole thing. I beat it, but it was a lesson in frustration as well. Like, just so brutally hard at points.
So
that's a fun trick.
Yeah, I know. I love the shoving them over thing. So I actually haven't played a Mega Man before.
Oh, really?
I didn't have a Nintendo. I had a Master System. That's why, like, we both have that love of Phantasy Star.
Yep.
Shaun has a cover album of... Is it all Phantasy Star 1 stuff? Or is it throughout the series?
It's the entire soundtrack for the first game.
Wow.
I covered all of the songs a few Decembers ago, and I put them up on Bandcamp on the Laser Destroyer Team Bandcamp page. And it's a free download, so have at it, have fun. I just wanted to, at that point in time, I was excited because a lot of video games that I liked growing up were having vinyl reissues or vinyl issues of their soundtracks. And so, like, there was an Outrun soundtrack. What the hell just happened there? Did you just slide under him?
Yep.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah. Actually, this is a good chance to sort of talk about a little design thing. One of the things, sort of along with wanting to discourage button mashing, was I wanted each move to sort of have times where it was useful and times where it was not useful. I'm just going to wait for that guy to wander back the other way. So here it's a tight space, so like some of the go-to moves are not that great. But slide under, kick, dash, dash, kick, got rid of him.
That's amazing.
But like normally I try to get him in the air because that's a way to like build up that blood meter faster and such. Let's get this page. So I guess we should talk a little bit about how the blood meter and checkpoint stuff works in here. So for people who haven't played, at the top there is that checkpoint meter that now says checkpoint ready. And I now have a checkpoint I can put down if I just stand still. And that gets filled either by beating the crap out of these guys, and sort of the fancier my kill is, the faster I fill that meter. Or by collecting the little red dots that you see around. Get rid of that dude.
This part always gets me.
You can always look around with the other stick.
Oh, right. I forgot about that. But yeah,
but here we do make you just make a leap of faith, but both paths are safe.
I'm always just making leaps of faith. I love these little guys.
Let's see if I can pull off a little bit of a bomb punch here. Another advanced technique. Rocket punch. Let's move you over a bit. So early on, I use those blood particles mostly to sort of like give you a hint as to how you should like traverse stuff.
Yeah.
Later on, it switches around where it's like, okay, can you beat this? But if you want to get that extra bit of checkpoint juice, you're going to have to do this extra thing. And sort of managing that economy of checkpoint juice was a big important part of the game design, to make sure that people would sort of generally have an opportunity to save at
awesome. What a great move. I always, as much as I love those little bomb dudes, as soon as I see them, I do feel the need. I gotta like get rid of them right away. But you can cook them a little bit.
Yeah.
Exploding Dice, I think asked a question.
What was it?
Oh no, sorry, it was Eriko-chan 08. What's your favorite move, both of you?
Favorite move?
I like the... Did you say the up kick?
Yeah, the up kick.
Okay, I'm gonna change mine then, because I was gonna say that. I think the when you're jumping and you're jumping down, like to pummel the enemy, I really like that one too. I had the same answer as you for the song on the soundtrack, so I wanted to have a different answer for favorite move.
That's fair.
Yeah. And this move up that you're about to do is cool too. Oh, no, you didn't do it. I thought you were going to dash across.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, there you go.
So that's another way that sort of the combat and the platforming join together. You can be using that to take enemies out, but you can also be using it to help you traverse.
Yeah.
So one thing I see people mess up when they're first playing is that they try jumping to get off of this thing. So it'll be like this, and they'll be like, okay, I've got to jump, and right into the spikes. You can just tap off.
And at this part where it's like, oh, I'm so close to the end, sometimes I get a little cocky and I end up just jumping on one of these spikes. Because these are, it's very tricky that you made an obstacle that you can run through no problem, but if you jump on it, that's it.
Yeah. This is actually, this bit here is just to teach people that they can run through them safely.
Nice.
Just get them stuck, and they'll usually like try hitting a few times and then go through and go like, oh, okay, I can do that. Let's get this guy. Oh, not high
Gel,
enough.
where did the idea come from to leave all your past deaths on screen?
I'm trying to remember. That may have been sort of, there's I think a few games that were kind of messing around with that. Meat Boy has a thing where it does replays. That may have been one of the things that Andrew just was like, hey, check this out, which would happen occasionally.
That actually sounds a lot like something he would say.
And I thought we had a limit of 10 of them, but I recently saw somebody post a screenshot on Twitter, and it definitely is much more than 10 now. So let's just finish that up. 15 minutes. You can tell I was just talking a lot. Great, managing to just spill cranberry juice all over myself.
Nice.
No
they bleed cranberry juice. Okay, so there were some fun sound effects just in that last screen, and I did some of the sound effects in the game. I didn't do all of them, or maybe some of them were done by me and then like augmented later on by the other sound folks you had.
It was the Dark Productions folks, people, myself, and you all doing sounds.
Okay, yeah, but that horn thing, like that was me. That's a K-oscillator effect, and then a few other things like just filters. Pretty funny.
So one thing that I'm kind of happy about is all of the like menus and UI are made to look as though they're taking place inside the book. Whenever you start the game, it starts by having the book open to show the title page. And that sort of hooks in with the cutscenes and the story in, I think, a fairly subtle way. So, like, doing these cutscenes, I basically wanted to do something like this because of the original Ninja Gaiden games.
Yeah.
Which I have finished. I've finished the first Ninja Gaiden on Super Nintendo, or on Nintendo. I borrowed someone's. That may have been where I got my taste for hard platforming.
What was the hardest platformer you played on Sega Master System?
I don't know. Like, the one I played the most of was the original Wonder Boy and Alex Kidd. And I didn't beat either of those.
I beat Alex Kidd and the Lost Stars. That game is weird because there's 6 levels, and then the next 6 levels are just the first 6 levels again. And I don't know if there's any difference.
I forgot. Let me just go back. I'm gonna exit and go back into this because there was a thing I wanted to point out. So I'll skip there. She buries the book, and you have the dirt around the outside and leaves and such. And that sort of continues throughout, where like whatever she does to try to get rid of the book, that shows up in the title screen for that level. I never beat Alex Kidd in Miracle World. This is the only reasonably lengthed level in the game.
This is a fun level.
Yeah, no, I like this one a lot.
I love kicking guys off the platforms here.
No, we made sure that you could see like how they died and like how you'd scored, so you knew whether or not you'd actually managed it. So this is a good example of the blood bubbles being used to just lead you. They're basically giving you a little guide on how to pull off these jumps. Oh!
Well, it did the job.
I had to go back for it.
That's awesome.
Managed to, I think that's like one of those like frame perfect things to get it to actually get stuck between the saw.
I hate this saw. That one always gets me.
People are now going to see where all the pages are.
Right? It's your dev walkthrough here.
So again, using the blood bubbles to give folks a bit of a guide. But then this is sort of a little like, hey, look at this thing you can do that is kind of tough early on, but it's going to become very important, which is the flip over and grab.
Right.
Let's see if I can... Oh. If you do it at the right time, you'll launch this guy back towards you. Oh. Oh no, my first death.
Oh.
Feels good. It feels really good. Like, I love just like kicking them into spikes, and it's sort of like times if you get the distance right, you can just like repeat it.
Yeah.
A lot of like good rhythms.
Are you playing the Switch version right now?
No, I'm playing the PC version just because it was easy to set up with. We already have a complicated enough streaming setup to get you watching with an almost real-time preview.
Yeah.
You know, little speed thing. It's not at the right place, so just use a dash to get where you need to go. We'll let you do a lot of like canceling out of moves in this. We wanted it to have like really nice animation, but let you do a lot of canceling, so you always felt like you were in control. Unlike something like Prince of Persia, which was like beautifully animated, but like feels like you're kind of playing through molasses a bit. I saw there was a question for you.
Yeah, inspirations for the soundtrack. I guess like anything I ever listened to ultimately became an inspiration, but around this time I was pretty excited about the news that there was going to be another Tron movie and that Daft Punk was going to do the score. And so part of it is that I just really liked Daft Punk and I wanted to like do some like dancey type stuff. But I also wanted to make it creepy. And for the creepiness, the inspiration was another game I played on Sega Master System a lot, was R-Type. And the music in that game is super, super creepy, but also upbeat at the same time. And, you know, when I was composing a lot of this music, I wasn't playing the game. Like, I had early builds, but, like, you can't just play the game and make music at the same time, or, like, I didn't have a way to. So I would just think about how the game made me feel, or think about how screenshots made me feel, and try to convey that musically. So in a way, the art was a big inspiration for the music, because I would picture it in my head and try to think of what I would expect it to sound like, and then I would go for that. Some of the tracks are purely experimental in a sense that I had no idea what they were going to sound like. Like, I didn't have a melody in my head for some of them until I started to actually hit buttons on the instruments or hit keys. And that was a lot of me just discovering different musical scales, and also just different ways of putting tracks together. So yeah, I guess it's a long-winded answer, but I'm kind of known for those. Yeah, I guess, yeah, musically, Daft Punk, R-Type, and then the art. And then when it came time to like assemble the tracks and like give some of these names, like they didn't all have names, but so they didn't all have names. So I just chose names of things that I liked. Some of the track names are Electric Six album names, and the cover for the soundtrack is an homage to the first Electric Six album's cover, Fire. So instead of having a guy on fire on a dance floor, it's the Claude girl fighting one of these enemies. And I actually did all the art for the soundtrack as well. I looked very carefully at the Electric Six cover, and I recreated it in Photoshop using the Photoshop skills that I have. And I think it turned out great. And yeah, since releasing it, I've actually become friends with that band, which has been pretty cool.
Losing my skills. Usually don't have any trouble with that, but of course on a stream.
This level makes me angry because of all the slippery parts.
Yeah, no, it is the ice level basically.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for the question.
So, again, sort of the way that like the cutscene story stuff leans into other parts of the game in little subtle ways. Oh, this is all about cooking a bomb. Let's see if I can do it. Oh, failed to. And I put down a checkpoint, so I gotta just say goodbye to that book.
Yeah, you've missed that page, my friend.
Shortcut. A little bit of a speed running route. It's like she buries the book. First level of this chapter starts out underground. Now we're at like ground level in sort of a giant garden. And the level after this is up in the trees. So each level you sort of start at a base that is based on how she tried to get rid of the book. And then as you go through, she goes higher and higher. Okay, I'll take the non-speed running route this time.
The scenic route.
Part of the trick with this area is just to stay airborne some of the time because you've got a bit more steering ability. You can switch direction quickly if you're in the air compared to if you're on the ground.
Yeah. Nice.
It's like there's an obvious thing where I've got giving players a little hint as to where they should put a checkpoint. There's like a few blood bubbles so that if they aren't quite there, it'll top them up. And of course, they use it all up there. So I now know that if they put a checkpoint there, they've been reset to 0. I can think about the next chunk as a logical chunk to like balance the amount of checkpoint juice they get.
What I forget what I was going to say now. It was something about the checkpoints. Oh, yeah. My problem is I get cocky when I play and I don't want to put the checkpoints down.
Fair.
And then I just die and have to start from farther back.
So yeah, when you are holding a checkpoint, you do get a score multiplier.
Yeah.
So there is sort of this like risk reward thing if you're going for the high score to not put a checkpoint down all the time. So again,
you're really going.
Another
you
little,
go for all the blood.
Yeah. Indicator you should maybe put a checkpoint down. This is all about steering these little jerks. Oh! Into the environment. That's sort of like another one of our little like pillars of the game design, was we wanted people to use the environment against the enemies. Let's see if I can pull off my favorite thing here. Oh! Got the timing
so
off.
close, so close! You're gonna go for it again, aren't you?
Yeah, I totally am. Okay, I've got to listen because it's the sound cue that helps me. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Another one of those things I just do during playthroughs just for fun. The down run thing can be really useful here for pushing these guys around. So if you're going too fast, you'll go under them.
So good.
And so you can't put down a checkpoint anywhere where there is danger that's moving. So like, these don't count as danger, but a moving saw or an enemy does. Or when you're moving. So you can't put it down on the icy surfaces. So they work both as sort of a different type of terrain to learn how to navigate, but also as a way of just going like, no, you can't put a checkpoint down here. We're not letting you. Let's see if we can get this guy to, kick him into.
Miguel, a question for you. How come you came up with the idea to make the sound get distorted when you just have one heart left?
I'm trying to think if that came from another game or whether that was something that just like we looked at what we could do with Fmod, and I was just like, what if we basically we'd want to do anything we could that would make people notice when they had one heart, because in a hard game when you're in that situation, that's when suddenly you go hyper focus.
Yeah.
So we have the distortion, we have the sort of red tint to the world, we've got the heart is flashing because anything that is in the sort of outside ring of the UI, unless it's actually animating, is invisible to the human eye because of how human visual processing works.
Mm-hmm.
So basically did like multiple things that would make you go, oh no, I'm about to die. I should like put this checkpoint down or own a checkpoint, get past this next little bit. So you can even cancel out of your dash down, which there's, oh, didn't manage. Let me see if I can do it. There's a speedrunning tech that involves dash canceling to slightly slow down your descent, and that changes the angle just slightly. So there's a few spots that speedrunners will just like jam that and like just change the angle just enough to go a little farther.
That's amazing.
And that's because when you start a dash, we actually have you hang in the air for a moment to give it more impact to the animation.
Right.
That was incredibly lucky.
I'm having all kinds of anxiety here. You've got...
So this bit used to be longer, because I really enjoy it. It is exactly what I like about ice levels. And it's one of those hard to describe things, because it's a game feel thing of that feeling of being slightly out of control and slightly in control. It's like drifting in a car game.
Right.
That's how it feels like to me.
Why would you do this? Why would you have so many enemies here? I mean, that's extremely satisfying.
So you can just...
Yes.
There. Because it's fun to make them smash into saws. And it keeps you moving. So we're about to...
Have we come across the spikes that shoot up from the ground yet?
They show up once, because we basically didn't find a way to use them that was fun. So they show up in one level.
Oh.
And we had a bunch of plans that we just didn't have enough time for to like make them more interesting. Because it was sort of one of those ones where like, oh, this will be fun. It's like, oh no, this is actually kind of boring. There's not a lot of interesting stuff we can do with them.
I also like the little fellas with the blades too.
Yeah, they're actually about to show up.
Yeah.
And there's a thing here that Andrew came up with, which I just love, which is that they're just designed in terms of when they choose to jump, that if you get two of them, they act as though they're cooperating. That's entirely like just systemic. Like it's not, they don't know what the other one's doing. It's just that one of them blocks if it's close enough and the other one will jump. And so you get this thing where they try to do a pincer attack on you. Of course, you can deflect them that way. And if they get into the ground, they're stuck for a bit, and that's when to dash into them. So
the very cool thing here is you've previously mentioned that like you're not very good at fighting games, but there's a lot of cool fighting game ideas in this game, like the idea of parrying, of move superiority as well. There's some good fighting game fundamentals here.
Like the things like I've read a bunch about fighting game design, I'm just garbage at them, so I'm never able to play it at the level that's interesting. But it was like taking a lot of those sort of ideas, and again, this idea of like you don't want to make a move that's like good all the time, because then players will always use that. But if you give a bunch of moves and make them all like situationally interesting, then suddenly there become these things to learn. It's like, oh, I can use this against that, and I can use this other thing against that. What are sort of the things in the environment? Is there a saw that I can kick something into? Would that be useful? So I mentioned Nidhogg, Alex Kidd, and Super Meat Boy as inspirations. So the platforming itself is less inspired by Meat Boy and more inspired by a game called Knit Stories, which is a free game by Niflus. And it has a lot of... let's start level over. So yeah, now we emerge from the forest floor up into the trees.
This is my second favorite track.
Yeah, it's good and creepy.
The album version is a bit longer, so the build-up is slower. It's really spooky. I think it would be good on a Halloween playlist.
Especially when you get that warp from dying. The speed warp works really well with it. So yeah, I think this level actually shows the influence of Knit Stories really well. I'm thinking about what I want to talk about, and that is, of course, killing me, because that is the way that thinking
It's hard to think and play at the same time.
No, it's a real skill. Is that enough? Nope. So this is something that we wanted to happen some of the time for players, which is I don't have quite enough juice, but I'm almost there. So I'm going to go into the next section and then backtrack and save. And that always feels like good and tense in a really interesting way. And we just knew that sometimes that would happen, the way that things were balanced We wouldn't know exactly when it would happen to people, but at some point it would. So Knit Stories has a lot of clinging to walls and doing things like that, where you're basically like just going from wall hang to wall hang, and using a double jump that's pretty powerful. And using a jump, like, the problem with double jumps often is that they're just used as a higher jump, not as a way of actually like moving around the space in interesting ways. And I feel like Knit Stories really taught me how to use a double jump in ways that were fun. Let's do something fun here. Oh!
Ah! Yikes.
Slow spin. So one thing that is sort of a tricky thing to learn in this game is that enemies, when they are, these enemies in particular, which are basically just your like, they're your checkpoint juice bags. Yes, survived, barely. The timing of when they will attack is based on a bunch of little status things. So if they're standing still, they're really fast to attack, and you've got to be really careful about them. If they're walking, they'll take a bit longer. If you've just hit them, they'll take even longer. If you kick them sideways, which next time there's a chance I'll show, they actually get aggro and their eyes go red. And they're really aggressive. So sort of learning at what points, yeah, there, just like immediately goes for me. So the trick is to get behind them.
Have you ever drawn like a full res version of what those guys look like? Because with the lo-fi pixel art, you can interpret them in a few different ways.
I have. There's so if you look at the Steam cards, they have some larger versions of the monsters, and it also has some lore, some hidden lore. So that was our first one of the Japanese ghosts. So yeah, here if I'll go back here and, oh, yeah, they can tell when I duck. There, red and fast. They're also a bit like reckless, so you can sometimes get them to run off cliffs while they're angry.
These folk are just presumably minding their own business till you come along, so I understand why they would get angry.
Die? Oh, I don't think he did. Where'd he go?
Survived? Oh. But now what are you gonna do?
Fight a ghost?
Yeah, but
I got this.
Can you recover from this?
Yep.
I guess you can.
I know where all the secrets are.
Right.
On the other hand, my reaction time, not so great while talking. I love the head popping off. So, fell down, so I'll have to redo this bit or die. I choose death.
The checkpoint.
Let myself go down a little bit too. What else is chat talking about? Any more questions?
This is your answer to everything. Yeah, I guess. What else are the ghosts doing?
So they're basically like, they act like the Mario ghosts until you attack them. So they do the... and make that creepy noise.
Yeah, that sound effect was definitely not me, so...
There's all sorts of, like, I got deep into Fmod. Different enemies have different, like, distance envelopes and stuff for, like, the stereo panning and such. Sometimes just to make sure that their sounds don't overwhelm the soundscape. But also in the case of them, to give you a clue that be careful, there's a ghost around. If it's just over a bit. There's a fun thing you can do, because this gives you a bit more lift, you can sometimes get a, oh shit. Gets dangerous when they start getting into the ground. You can sometimes use the extra lift you get from this to get them into spikes that are too high up.
Yeah.
And anytime you finish an enemy against... I think I need to adjust the analog on this. It's not used to this controller. Every time you finish with an environmental kill, it gives you a score bonus, and I think also a little bit of a blood bonus, which is part of, like, we've got a whole complicated system that you don't need to entirely understand to maximize your blood. That just encourages you to not just, again, button mash your way through things. So here's where we make sure that you keep moving through this section. There's a bunch of ghosts hidden in here.
Yeah.
And so if you're going for the challenge of, like, killing all the enemies, you actually have to sort of search through that area and find all the ghosts and get them going after you. We're worried people wouldn't know where to go. Nope, failed to get any of that blood. So at this bit, you can either... Oh.
This part's one of my least favorite parts.
Let's see if I can get the blood this time, although I need to get that page again. Okay, let's go slowly, see how many of these I can get.
Not bad.
So one trick is to not hit the switch that will open up this floor here until the end, because that's sort of the platform you want to do your fighting on. Oh, that ghost's been following me down the entire level. Okay, so that's the one I don't want to do yet. And yeah, your dashes are really good here because they end up materializing about a dash away often. But you also have to be careful because they'll disappear and you'll dash past them. So you always want to be ready on that jump button to get yourself back on the platform if they mess you up. And I probably, if I were making this game now, I would probably make these guys a little bit weaker. I feel like they're maybe like 2 hits more than they should be to my tastes now. Oh yeah, I got rid of that guy. So you can see that I got sort of splash damage on that guy when I chop them all up. When I did the stab down, and that's when you got the most time to, like, get them in the air or whatever, because they're actually stunned.
Nice.
It's like learning to sort of manipulate how ready they are to attack and learning each of those times. So you get a sort of a general sense of how those enemies work is one of the skills you build up over time playing it. Because they are much more like a little creature with an AI compared to most platforming enemies.
Right.
Not a super smart AI, but like they are much more reactive than like an enemy in Mario. So, start level over. So again, she emerges, she's more transformed. She is pissed off at that book. That book sucks. I love this like getting ready montage. Oh, and there you are in the background.
Yeah.
You can drown a book. That's a thing you can do.
Well, you got chains on it, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to come back up.
And the magical girl transformation sequence. So yeah, now we've got a waterlogged book. And you often would, you'd give us tracks and you'd be like, I'd be sort of like, oh, is this a track for this level? And I'll be like, you know what, this sounds like it's the track for this level. So I'd often sort of shuffle them around. And this one has that like kind of like aquatic echo to it.
Yep. At this point in time, I had done a story on this instrument that Yamaha came out with that was like a visual LED matrix, and it's called the Tenorion, and it's essentially just a square with a bunch of light up buttons that you can push on or off.
It's
and
by
it's
the
sequencer.
Same person who made Electroplankton, I believe.
Very similar sounds. I guess that is the case. I'm not surprised at all, because like one of the cool things about it was that it was very easy to come up with rhythms and arpeggios on it, but also have a lot of control. Actually, it looks like it's like not even a serious instrument, but there's quite a lot of depth to it. And now there's an iOS version of it that is pretty much. It's like playing the real thing minus the actual tactile feedback. But yeah, interesting that you brought up Electroplankton, because this kind of sound, there's like a very naturey, aquatic feel to this particular drum kit.
Yeah.
And just the way that the echo off the percussion is. And then I think I just layered stuff on top of that. Like a lot of songs started as just drums for the most part, and then I would try to layer in different moods. And I wanted to give you guys different styles of music within my style of music.
Yeah.
So like I knew that there was going to be a fire level, so I made things that I felt were like, hot, I got to keep moving, like this is very dangerous. And I knew that there was going to be underwater stuff, so I would kind of keep that in mind while making the music, and like the feeling would just like come out sometimes, and sometimes it didn't. There were a lot of tracks I did not send to you.
No, and like even like if you look at the album, it is like there are so many like interesting experiments on there that like didn't work for the game but were like cool tracks. It's like it's pretty unusual that like sometimes like for a movie you'll get all of like the concept art, and what you put on the album is kind of like here's the concept sounds and the actual final ones.
Yeah,
like it has all of that sort of experimentation on it in a way that usually you don't get to hear.
Yeah, because I also think that just all of those tracks on the soundtrack, even though there's more than what you were able to put in the game, they still are connected to each other, and so there's themes and feelings that flow from one to the other. At least that's how I meant it, and how I felt that it comes across. But whoever listens to it, you're free to get whatever you want or what you perceive out of it, right? Like I had certain feelings in mind when coming up with the music, and it's always fun to see what other people think as well.
So here we've got, in the background, you can see an Anomalocaris. I've got a bunch of Bogus Shale creatures.
Nice.
And actually, the museum here in Toronto has the largest collection of Bogus Shale creatures, I believe. They usually just hide them in a corner, though, because they're boring to look at the fossils. It's like, look at these smush bugs.
Some local trivia for you. Laura Brinth says, I love electroplankton. I never hear anyone talk about it. Yeah, it was... I actually had the physical release of it, and I very foolishly got rid of it when I was cutting down my game collection, one of the many times I did that.
I just don't do that, ever.
Yeah, I didn't realize how rare... Like, it's a pretty rare cartridge, and I think they only sold it at Best Buy, which is weird for what it is, because it's so artsy.
Here, have this art game.
Yeah, like, there's no bad guys, there's no real purpose to it other than to just relax. But they did release the individual, like, modules from Electroplankton, like, on the DSi shop at some point. And yeah, the game is, it's harder to find.
Get some fun stuff you can do with bouncing this guy around, but it looks like I'm not managing to. Oh, there we go.
Nice.
Having them...
Laura Brinth has the game, so definitely hold on to it.
Having the spikes angle allows for a lot of fun bouncing around that if they just did something more simple would be less interesting. So I saw there's another question there. Where did the idea of making the levels resemble what was done to the book come from? That, I think, was fairly early on when I was like figuring out what the structure of the narrative would be. Again, getting into inspirations, I really liked the way Eco and Shadow of the Colossus sort of told a story that was very simple, but was told almost entirely visually, and how that sort of gives space for interpretation and such. So I tried to come up with a way that would we'd tell a story entirely visually and try to interweave it into every single aspect of the game, but just in terms of like visuals and symbols and moods, so that it would be sort of interpretable, that people could come up with different ideas of what the sort of concrete details of the story were. So this is just to taunt people to do something dumb, which is you can use your double jump to get back up. So sort of teach you a advanced move, but also at some point you'll get the timing wrong and you'll die, and you really didn't need that blood bubble, did you? I guess I did.
So mean.
I really like the feeling of sliding down these bits. So a lot of, I don't know, like, it may just been like the mood I was in as I was making certain levels. This one's full of little backtracking loops. So to get this bit here, I need to drop back behind the saws as they're returning to get in here. And then do this another time.
So cool.
I hadn't sort of like internalized the how interesting loops are in level design when making this. But I think in this case, I just like, it was one of those things where I wasn't consciously thinking about it. I love it when you pull that off. And then of course I don't. Little jerk. Why didn't I make your hitboxes larger? There's a bunch of little backtracking hidden things. If I want the checkpoint juice, which I do.
Yes.
And I'm going through this another time. So yeah, this one makes, like, if you're doing an all pages run, you do a lot of little backtracks through the same challenges. Oh, that's a chance. If I did that's totally a setup for one of those bomb punches to blow that dude up. So this attack actually does very little damage because we wanted you to be able to do it several times and get one of the multipliers up. There's a funny thing where you often, for scoring, you actually, to make something good, you make it weak in this game, just because of how everything comes together.
That's cool.
So this is sort of the sneaky way into this building, but the normal way would be to take the elevator. So they're like, we've totally set up these spikes, so if you do the up kick, they just kill themselves.
There's something about this game as well where you could also choose not to fight in a lot of cases.
No, it's always that, like, do you fight and get the checkpoint juice, or do you leave them? And the whole checkpoint system came about because we wanted something to incentivize people to fight, because you're so maneuverable. Open areas, you basically have no combat happening if you didn't have some incentive. But because we wanted the game to be, like, about mastery, we also didn't want the incentive to be something that would let you, like, cheap through a section.
Right.
The game isn't actually trying to be deliberately cruel. It's like, it is a game about mastery, and the main way you're going to learn is dying. Each death is a little lesson. I was like, as soon as I dropped down there, I was like, no, that was not the way to do that. You often want to use your double jump just to give yourself a little bit of time if you're dropping down, to scope out what's going on. Oh.
So close.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not going to go for that up book. We've seen what happens when I do that. Backtracking. Do not like. Do like. Wonderful.
Nice.
Oh, but I didn't go after any of the blood bubbles. So there's an example of, like, how in later levels we're like, oh, you want the checkpoint, do it but also get the blood bubbles, or do it the easy way and then do the next challenge, and probably between the two you'll have added up enough. So you get a lot of,
you messed yourself up.
Interesting things going on in the economy of the game. So here you've sort of got a speed challenge because you've got those saws coming for you, and all of the saws lining it are basically, we know we don't want somebody putting a checkpoint down there because that'll just be like, it would be a frustrating place to put a checkpoint that might almost put them in a situation of instant death. So anytime we're like, this is too dangerous, we just line the area with saws and shit. Make sure that there's no way that the player will make a mistake. I forgot that I needed to go for those blood bubbles.
I was wondering what you were doing there, friend.
I was talking while playing. Yes.
And that, what a concept. This whole service is all about playing games while talking. There you go. You got it now, but...
I've got to get to the other end. I love the sound of them just being shredded. I don't remember who did that sound, but...
I don't think it was me.
It may have been me. I may be praising my own work, I'm not sure.
I did some of the splash sound effects, and I think the block, the very high, like, bing, ding, bing, like... That's the blocks.
Yeah, we haven't heard that much because I'm, of course, playing relatively optimally. So another, like, go back and, oh, hey, there's something up in the roofs above. It's like learning to look for patches of wall that are bare that you can get to is part of the trick of, like, finding all the pages. This, but I'm just a jerk. The thing is that, like, we do give you extra hearts, so even when we are being mean, you can, like, mess up a bit and still get out of things some of the time. Those sounds were the Dark Production people. They did a great job on these little guys.
Yeah, I think these guys sound perfect.
So I perfectly spaced a lot of the stuff here so that if they fell down the pit, they'd hit a little nook and be able to jump around and get to you.
Oh.
So it makes them look super intelligent, but it was totally the, like, level design setting up.
That's so awesome.
Haven't seen anyone in chat talk for a bit. I hope we are still actually streaming. It says we are.
Yeah.
Down
it says there's 12 people here.
Okay. You get into some nice loopy moves when dealing with these guys. Oh, shit. Not where I thought I was in the level.
When the person who made the map doesn't remember.
Hey, it's been 8 years. Let's see if I can get this. If I get it just right, I can go under here.
One of my favorite platformers is Super Mario World for Super Nintendo. And you can play that game like just defeating the levels the one way, but if you really want to, like, unlock all the paths, you have to find these hidden exits. And some of the platforming in that is just so time sensitive and precise, where, like, you have to fly up and then land as a crouched Mario, just perfect to get through a spot. It's pretty neat. It's neat to see, like, a lot of platformers implement the same kinds of tricks.
I know that sort of, like, meta puzzle stuff. I don't know what the trick is, but N++, I know Reagan and Mero have talked about how Super Mario World was an influence on the secrets that they put in N++.
Yeah. I think that was, like, one of the first games I had played where there was, like, more than one way to finish a level.
That was, like, a big design goal for them. They used to live here in Toronto, so part of the whole Toronto indie game scene.
Yeah.
So this is another time pressure. This level's full of time pressure saw things, where you're outrunning saws. You've got a checkpoint, but you can't use it, which is another sort of situation we want to put you in every once in a while, because it's another nice form of game stress. Now this bit, I always have to get the rhythm right. I got the rhythm wrong.
You were so wrong. Why would you do that? Why would you do that to anybody? I can't believe you put that part in this level.
It's okay.
So mean.
The good thing is you're going to get, like, a fair amount of points and blood from any enemy you leave around, because those saws are coming to chew them up.
That's true.
Yeah, we also, like, this uses the bombs to hit some of the switches. There, when I don't think about it, I just do it. But then you've got to backtrack back here while the saws are still coming up. put a checkpoint down here? No, because I didn't want people to do that, because they might be doing that just before they die.
Look at what you did.
Yep.
Oh, I hope you're happy with yourself.
Ish. Now, part of the problem is I do that, I then think about what I want to talk about next, and then I die. So yeah, there's the bomb being used to set off a switch. Another sort of game design thing I like to do is like just try to use, if I have a system, try to use it in as many interesting ways as possible. There's not a huge number of moving parts in They Bleed Pixels, but oh no.
This area kind of reminds me of a Mario
See if I can get
fortress
enough.
level.
Can I get enough checkpoint juice from this guy? No, that's not gonna. Yeah, no, it does have a similar feel to. Just let those guys all go down there. Go. Back down to hit the switch. And then I will pay attention to the next bit instead of being like, I can calm down now. Because I talked about putting down a checkpoint. There, safe.
You did it! Why would you put a checkpoint down as soon as you exit?
Because it feels good to put a checkpoint down. It's a good feeling.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a quick break. How much longer do you want to go?
Maybe another 15, I think.
Yeah, I think I want to show like one of the backgrounds and talk a little bit about the background stuff. And then, yeah, I think we'll wrap things up. If you have questions, please put them in now. If you want to play the guitar a bit, you can give them a little concert.
I'm trying to figure out this song. It's been a while since I played it. That's my guitar show. I hope I was playing it at the same time you were actually hearing those notes. Because of latency, that might have not been the case. Miguel will be back shortly. Thanks for joining us on this stream today. It's been fun to be a part of the Spooky Squid Games stream here. I don't normally stream. I just, hang out and actually play video games or just watch a lot of Netflix these days. With the pandemic and everything going on, there's like not a lot of stuff to actually do outside of the house. So I'm pretty, okay with just staying inside, and I've got music to occupy my mind, just noodling around on my keyboards here, and yeah, just trying to pass the time till we can go out and hang out with pals and stuff. So
you're not playing the guitar. What is this?
I played the one riff. It's like it's hard to play anything on top of this.
That's true.
So, but here's the guitar. It looks like a toy, and it kind of is a toy, but it also has like MIDI function and a lot of cool sounds built into it as well.
You also you did something on like a device that was basically like a giant like fighting stick, right?
Yeah, the Pianocade. I have one right here.
Okay, people need to see this.
I'll try to get it into the shot here. I need to unplug it, but it's not a big deal to do so. So here we go.
Yeah. And I've seen you play that live once or twice.
Yeah. So let's see. Is this in the shot here?
Yeah. No, it's good.
So instead of regular keyboard keys, they're arcade buttons, and this joystick moves it 1 octave up or 1 octave down, and then you got a little bit of a pitch bend when you toggle up and down on the joystick. It's got several classic NES sounds on here, so you can play the same kinds of square waves and whatnot as some of your favorite Nintendo songs or Nintendo games. And it can also control MIDI devices, so it's a lot of fun. I got that I think after They Believe Pixels had come out. Another person in Toronto who's kind of in the indie art space, Jonathan Guberman, came up with the idea of the Pianocade, and he as he was prototyping it, I kind of helped beta test it, and I broke a prototype unfortunately, but that was all part of the testing. And then he ended up launching this thing. I don't think Kickstarter was a thing in Canada yet, but he took pre-orders and then basically built them to order.
So I'm going to show one of the wilder backgrounds. So our background system basically let us just put a bunch of layers of endlessly tiling stuff in, but we could do blend modes, we could fade things in and out, and we could scroll them around. So everything in the game is just using some combination of those, but often like a dozen different layers. So
yeah, and it has a really cool effect when you take a look at it.
So yeah, this, I think, like, we've got 3 or 4 layers of like a flame visualization with different opacities and like color tones, but then also there's like a gradient at the bottom and top, the flicker on the background stuff all coming together. Oh shit, this entire time we've been playing it teeny. I am so sorry, everyone. It was supposed to be like that. That's what I get for having that in the background. Oof. I'm so sorry.
I didn't see what you did because I'm not looking at the stream right now.
Oh, well, I guess this will go up on YouTube broken like that. I meant to switch it over to us being small heads and the screen being big, and instead we did it all teeny.
Does anyone know what the voice is saying in this track?
There's a voice?
Yeah. It's the only song with lyrics. They all have lyrics, but it's the only song that has lyrics in the track. Because I come up with the melody, and it's like what's happening at the same time. I'll never tell you what they are because they're really embarrassing and silly.
Amazing.
But there is a voice in that track. It's very vocoded, so it's hard to tell that that's what it is.
Wow, yeah, I had no idea that there were vocoded voices in there. So I'm gonna go...
Sorry, that's too scary.
Yeah.
I hear voices. Yeah.
Well, I feel really bad, everyone, that I didn't have that like larger screen. I hope that was still like... I guess it was watchable because people were commenting on stuff happening on the screen.
People can still see.
Yeah. But yeah, if you look at the stream now, you'll see it's much better. But this is the problem with my setup, is I can't see everything at once that we're doing, even with multiple monitors. But since it is Halloween, I thought I would load up a little bit of the Halloween level. This is my favorite of the bonus levels. Because what we did was, normally there's like 6 pages you collect in a level, Instead, we're like, what if there were 100 candies you had to collect? And pretty much to get the S rank, you have to do that as part of it. And it's the most puzzly of the levels. So it's got trick monsters receive treats. And what you have to do is kill monsters in specific traps to get treats. So here I need to get a squiddy thing into this. So there's a squiddy thing. Oh no! Messed with his AI. He got confused. Yeah, there, like
this level has a track that I really like as well. I know it's weird saying like I really like a track that I made, but some of them I don't really like that much. When I came up with this one, I knew I wanted it to be like spooky and lurchy. Like there's this almost old horror movie style vibe to it, where it feels like the monster is just almost about to get you, and he's like, it's almost gonna get you, almost gonna get you. So I wanted to have something that built that tension, and I didn't know where you were gonna put it. Then you put it in this level, and I think it's really cool because you know, a lot of the game is spooky, but this is like the Halloween theme level.
I have to decide whether I should put this down because I want to try to get. I used up the easy guy to get that trap. There we go. Got them into the area I need them. Let's get one up. Okay, we'll get both of them up. Feed it to the beast. So yeah, this, like, if you mess up, you sort of have to then go like, okay, how can I like herd an enemy over to this spot? So knowing that that guy will blow up to hit that switch. It's sort of, this one like relies on you understanding how all of the AI work at this point and how to manipulate it.
I love all the little details that each of the levels has in the actual design of the platform parts, like the hollowed out areas here for the faces.
Yeah. No.
But then also with the lanterns, you have the lanterns and so forth.
That was partially like, because you move so quickly in the game, we knew that we'd want to be able to like make levels quickly, iterate them quickly, and that they'd be really large. So doing something with a lot of detail was just not going to be possible. So we then use that sort of like, the level itself is made out of like black and white pixels that you, so it sort of has pixel art.
Oh.
Built into the levels themselves. Still feeling bad for not making the screen full screen.
Is anyone upset in the chat for us playing in not full screen for the last hour? Anyone other than Miguel?
Listen, I spent all of last night setting that up.
We'll get them next time. We'll know, like, that's one of the first things we'll check.
Well, we'll do the 10th anniversary. We'll do this again 2 years from now. That work for you?
Yeah, for sure. I'm up for streaming before then.
We now have the setup for us streaming bits of this. We also have like the little graphic replacement that those guys don't have bombs. They have pumpkins. Tried to find little ways that were like affordable to add little bits of custom art. This background though is ridiculous. Every time I did a background, I did something like bigger and more elaborate. Okay. Oh.
Why did you make that part so hard?
It was fun. We hadn't done something quite like it before. It's tricky because it's like two pairs, and you have to think about both pairs when you're figuring out when to go down and when to switch off. So yeah, you don't want to go right. Oh, then I want to go a little bit earlier. Whenever you hear that sound, that stretchy sound, it's time to duck. I was like, a lot of the sound stuff becomes really important in games like this, like being able to have a really recognizable sound for I'm about to attack. He ducked because I ducked early, so he knew that I was going to be low. Here's a fun one. I need to get him up into there, so I need to do that double tap. And then if I time this right, I can use the bomb blast to get up there. There are other ways to do that, cool. But that's the fun way. So this requires, I think, 2 guys to be dropped in first. Oh, I got him.
Yeah.
Just give him a nudge.
Yeah. Get in there, buddy.
Okay. How does this work? I know, yeah, there's that guy there. Jump over him, kick him up, bomb punch. Oh. Did it a little bit too fast. Did it a little bit too fast. He got triggered, but he did not get hit by the main blast. It's always a risk reward using bombs on those guys. Because if they're in the periphery, they'll just get activated and go aggro. But if you get them with the core...
You always also have the symbol from the book somewhere too.
Yeah, no, it's like in the backgrounds in there, and like we never really 100% explain it. Again, I wanted there to be some ambiguity so that people could come up with their interpretation of what's going on.
You will explain it in the prequel game.
Or somewhat in the Steam cards.
Yeah.
And for anyone who says there are no iframes in the game, I just got out of that fine. Every once in a while, people think that there's no invincibility frames just because they're short. Oh, I need to get this guy up. Oh! Oh, that's slow motion blood. That's the good stuff. Skip him. There. And then I need to get one of these 2 dudes.
Poke him down.
So that's sort of the extra one in case you'd already used one up. And then just let him kill himself. Oh, thought I could get the up attack in fast enough. You just hang out there. Also, you notice that like normally it's all sort of Lovecraftian language. In this, it's all like descriptions of candies.
Yep.
When you get... And here's the trick-or-treat moment, where that's a trap to... if I want to unlock that area, let's do it. We've taught that arrows with a specific, like, drawing will be triggered by that thing. So, of course, that also counts for you. And I use that in some cleverer ways later on. Okay, this bit's fun. Slide under, kick, dash, kick. You go back there. Oh no, I wanted to get you over there. No, you go over there. This took some figuring out to get the spacing so that you could actually kick things along without getting them in the saws.
Nice.
Okay, we have an absolutely inspired by Chips challenge puzzle coming up. Going for the real deep cuts. We got the Atari Lynx games.
Nice.
So here, what you need to do to get these guys out of the way. we need to get a sword guy all the way to this spot here. And how we're going to do that... Oh! That's why we give you 2 chances. Okay, gonna release the second one, and I'm gonna remember that their swords getting damaged actually hurts them. Okay, down. Quick, 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 over. That is absolutely a Chips Challenge style puzzle. Manipulating the AI to kill itself. Okay, I need only one guy there, so I need to kill off one, but not the other. Oh, okay, I guess one of them managed to kill itself. You either need to get them to do a high enough jump there, or you need to do the deflection to get them in. Get this guy out of the way. There we go.
Nice.
So in some ways, this is sort of the ultimate level in that it really is about you understanding the AIs and like how you can get them into each spot using how they behave and what the physics are like. And I'm losing my voice.
It happens. You've been chatting for a while. One of the cool things about well, just any interesting platforming game is that the platforming, like over here you've got obvious puzzles, but all platforming really is like a kind of puzzle gameplay where you have to figure out like where you need to be and what kind of moves you can pull off in sequence. Like games end up having their own vocabulary through which you play them. And I think that's something that's really cool. Even in Russian Subway Dogs, there's again like similar feel where like certain combos just feel so good and it feels so rewarding when you can pull them off.
That one we really need to make sure that just the jumping and catching stuff just felt good, because everything is built on that basis.
Yeah.
But then because of the bump juggling, we're able to introduce all sorts of interesting interactions. So yeah, there's like knowing that I could do that kick trick, or I could get him close and then steer him down like I did that other one. Now that's going to be a pain to get rid of.
Wasn't too bad.
Yeah, no. It's like I've dealt with that before. Oh, okay, I can get this guy, I think. Let's get rid of that guy. Come on up here. Knock him up. So again, really understanding how you can use everything in your environment against these enemies to solve these little puzzles. So this one's about getting him to stab down in that narrow section. And I'm now, of course, failing at it. Oh, there we go.
Have you gotten all the candy so far?
No, I've missed a few.
Oh. That's right, you missed one pretty early.
Yeah, I figured I wouldn't go for an absolute full candy run. I've definitely, I did that during testing, of course.
Right.
This is a fun one. It's like a little ladder that you've got to knock this guy up.
It's so extra. It's
And then
ridiculous,
if you
dude.
notice this bit here, you're like, okay, at some point I've got to get up there. And you get up there basically at the end of the level. Dash. Oh. So I'll ignore that one I just did. Dash, slide down. Again, understanding all of the little edge cases. Oh, there's a ghost there. Of course I put a ghost there. Okay, I'm gonna do this section and then we should probably call it a night because I know you gotta work tomorrow.
Oh, so close.
Yeah, no, been playing and talking for a while. My skills are... This is usually not a huge problem for me.
So, even though this is a single-player game, this is also a really fun multiplayer experience where you and a friend or you and several friends can totally just pass the controller every death or every checkpoint and then kind of give each other a rest when you need it after getting through a really intense part.
That's often a good way to play hard games. Okay, so here's a little like weirder puzzle. I can see that there's these doors here. I can see a set of 4 switches in the same sort of pattern. So I need to make sure I hit all of the switches at once with those bombs.
Excellent. On the soundtrack, the version of this track is actually quite longer and has like different parts to it. Looks like Paul is in here, if I'm not mistaken.
Paul Hill,
Howdy,
photographer
Paul.
who has some unlockable guest art in the game. So this is a fun one where you're basically like trading squids. I'll give you that squid for this squid. And then I'll give you this squid for this squid. But then I'm stuck with a squid at the end. Classic. Actually, I think we're pretty close to the end of this level. So we can show the end of this one because it has some more neat stuff that just really exploits all the weird systems. Spoilers for the Halloween level. Oh no, nope. None of that was good.
Yikes!
That's the great thing about having these levels that fold over on each other is when you fall into the thing that like had been causing you trouble earlier. Checkpoint here.
Oh! Ah! Why'd you have to do that to him? Poor guy.
Okay, let's see if I can do this. Oh, maybe I should have actually looked at what I needed to do. Oh!
What? Come on! That was hilarious. Gonna make me watch him die again.
Yeah. Get out of the blast zone.
That one was my favorite in the whole game.
Okay. actually look at what I've got to do here. So yeah, here it's like, do a little bit of extra if you want the blood bubbles and candy. Again, a little reminder that you don't want to go where she's pointed at. Yeah, they have such great sounds. And I can say that because that's not one of the sounds I did.
Yeah, I think that was the Dark team.
Not what I meant to do. Not at all what I meant to do.
I thought you did that because it was too easy with having that many hearts.
No, I was like thinking of something I was going to do, and of course while I was thinking about it, I messed it up.
You've made me watch that guy, my favorite guy in the whole game, get killed 4 times now.
That's how you get those blood bubbles.
Sneaky.
Seeing if I can get that.
You're just trying to get fancy.
Yeah. My reaction time is not as good as it used to be. So I can't go in there, but I need to get these triggered on either side. And that requires cooking that the right amount.
Excellent.
I looked at chat. Never look at chat while playing.
Yep. Oh man, I am not nearly this good at this game. Me neither. You know what's mind-blowing though? Seeing the speedruns of this. It's like...
Oh yeah, no.
Wow.
I am, like, when the speedrunners tell me how fast they do bits in.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Okay, I'm just gonna back off here before I see what this puzzle involves. So actually, we've got a speedrunner that's going to be happening in the Spooky Squid Discord on Friday. Have the novice mode world record holder Cube is going to be doing a every level run, which he says he can do in an hour. So all of novice, all of regular, all the bonus levels.
That's amazing.
So that should be absolutely amazing to see. Okay. So I can't go in there. I need to get that guy up. And I've got a little bomb. So let's kick that there. That kills him.
Oh, nice.
Thought I could get away with that. Can I get over the top? I think I can get over the top. How am I getting there? There we go. And we are approaching the end. Final ridiculous puzzle. So remember those candies we didn't get?
Yeah. No way. That's amazing.
Had a lot of fun making this level.
I didn't know that.
Okay, so we need to not go in that because that'll kill me. I need to get a guy into each of those traps. So first thing I'm going to do is get this guy up here. Then I'm trying to remember how this works. I think I want to do this. Yeah. No. Okay, he's done. But I need to open up the... Oh, that's fun. I think I did that in the wrong order. Only one thing to do. A long fall. Okay. I can figure out this puzzle I made like 8 years ago. I know I can do it. Because, yeah, okay, I need that guy up there. So that's the first thing I want to do is get this guy up to the top. So... got him up there. Now he'll walk over here.
Nice.
And that opens up that gate. And that opens that gate. And now I can get all these candies.
This level is making me want candy.
Me too. And
I've got some snack size.
The pumpkin full of candy. See, that's my favorite of the bonus levels, just because it's so different from the core game, but also so reliant on like understanding everything at a really deep level.
And Halloween's cool. It's seasonal.
And I still have... I've got 73 of 150 of the achievements or blood badges. And those all unlock stuff in the art gallery. There's another Eric Kim drawing. So yeah, They Bleed Pixels is now out on Switch, 8 years after its original release. If you do not have it on Switch and you like hard platformers, please pick it up. And it is, of course, also on Steam, and Itch, and Humble, and Playism. You want to shout out your Bandcamps? You've got like 3 of them? How many do you have?
Well, some of them are like old and retired, but you can check out djfinishhim.bandcamp.com for the They Bleed Pixel soundtrack primarily. I think there's a few other things on there. And then laserdestroyerteam.com is a creative project that I'm in with my friends Keith and Christopher Tate, and also Chad Thompson. And they're a video game project as well. That's the project under which I released my Phantasy Star cover album. And there's a few other electronic video game stuff on there. And then there's megashawn.bandcamp.com, which is just silly songs, just me being a goofball.
Nice.
So yeah, thanks for having me on the stream. Thanks for the chance at shout out, and for all of the questions in chat over the course of the night. Thanks as well.
And yeah, no, it's been great. Like, we haven't actually, despite the fact that we spent so long working on this together, we haven't done something like this, talking about and showing the game. So it's been good.
Yeah.
You did music as Laser Destroy Team for Always Sometimes Monsters, am I right?
Yeah, that's correct. So I did Always Sometimes Monsters, and then Sometimes Always Monsters. And that was a group collaborative effort where we would send our tracks around and kind of build upon one another's demo material. And similar to working on this game with you, we would send the game dev, Justin, a variety of tracks based on different moods or different arts and settings. And then he would decide what best fit what he was going for. So there was a bit of collaboration and, I guess, influencing one another's sensibilities each time he heard a track or each time we saw new art or new scenarios.
Nice.
So it was a really cool project. And then also those guys, Vagabond Dog, did a golf game called Doggone Golfing, and I took that on as a solo gig. So I just have like, essentially it's one track, but like 6 variations of the one track, because they could be layered in depending on what's happening in the game.
Oh, nice.
But that's a really fun soundtrack, and also a really fun game. It's like a physics-based golf game.
Sweet. So yeah, I'm gonna be on Vagabond Dog's Twitch channel on Thursday. I think it's at 7 p.m. Eastern time. When he sort of does like an industry chat thing, so I'll be there. And then Friday, as I mentioned, there's going to be a speed run in the Discord community for Spooky Squid Games. I think that is discord.gg/SpookySquid. And that should be really fun. It should be an hour going through every single level.
I need to join that Discord after this.
Yes, you should. So yeah, thanks everyone who watched. And stay safe. It's been a weird year.
Yeah. Take care, stay inside, play some video games, make some video games.
Yep, all these things.
Have fun.